Let's make sure that we are getting everything set up to get online. There we go. All right. We are getting set. And we are live. All right. There we go. We are live, ladies and gentlemen, with the Pancakes and Powerslams show. Let's have some fun. And let me bring in my guy. Once again, he is coming back. He was here a few weeks ago, and I was so excited to, and I really enjoyed him being on the show. Really enjoyed him being on the show. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's bring in my buddy, Ring of Honor 6-man tag team champion, PCO. How are you tonight, sir?
I am great. What about you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. It's great to have you on the show again tonight.
Awesome.
We're
gonna have some fun.
Yes, absolutely. How you feeling? It's late. I think we're both Eastern time, right?
Yeah, it's quite late, but hey, I can stay up for your show anytime.
Man, listen, I really appreciate that. That makes me feel special. That's it's 11:35 Eastern time and 11:36, and you decide after a long day, just got finished doing some Best in the World in Baltimore and also Ring of Honor tapings. You decided to join us for the show tonight, so I'm really excited about that, man. Other than that, how you feeling?
I'm absolutely. I'm like totally like very good, like top shape. Very motivated. For weeks coming ahead. Lowell, Massachusetts, and New York coming pretty soon around the corner. So I'm pumped.
Nice.
Totally in great shape.
Nice. Yeah, man. You are getting such. We talked about this when you were on the show before. You're getting such an amazing ovation and reaction from the fans nowadays. I watch Best in the World, and it was a 6-man match with you, Marty, and Brody against the Lifeblood, and. 6 people there, 6 people in the ring, and Baltimore was chanting PCO. I mean, that's how over you are with the fans. And Marty Scurll is very over. He's one of the top stars in ROH. But still, people love their PCO, man. So Michael was saying, does he realize how much people enjoy him? I think that's a really good question because people really enjoy. I don't know. It's us savage wrestling fans enjoying a 51-year-old man breaking his body for us every week. So we say thank you for that.
Yeah, it's hard for me to pinpoint, what is it for each and every one, what they really dig about PCO, because, there's so many generations of people that are fans. Like I've seen probably 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, like kids wearing my T-shirt, in Philly and Baltimore, and then sometimes they're 20 years old, 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old. I think every group of age got a reason why it's connecting with the monster. But it's hard for me to pinpoint like specifically something. But it's pretty amazing. It's pretty overwhelming, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
And every arena, every show, it's always a big, super huge chant, PCO, and I really do appreciate, and I'm trying to give back, as much as I can to the public, to the crowd, to the fans, to everyone, and I'm trying to really, give them like what they expect and even more. So I'm really working hard to, so it matches the noise and the loud and the crowd being so loud for PCO. So I'm trying to go, make it work both ways.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got some good people in the chat room right now. The hashtag is AskPCO. So if you have any questions, go ahead and use the hashtag AskPCO. I got a few before I get into these questions. I do see some questions here. There's a few things that I was wondering, because I've followed your career since 92 or 3 when
93.
Yeah, 93 when so y'all won the tag titles in 93, right?
Yeah, all 3 times. Yeah,
year. 3 times. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what? There's a few things that I was wondering about your career. So you were brought in a team with Jacques Rougeau. He was doing the Mountie gimmick, and then you guys became the Quebecers.
Originally we were supposed to become the Mounties together, but because of lawsuits from the RCMP in Canada, so we had to change the name. So
you became the Quebecers. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you're supposed to be the Mounties. Very interesting stuff. You're supposed to be the Mounties, but you became the Quebecers. Now, who brought you in? Who was the person who recruited you or gave you the call?
Well, actually, I had been working for 8 years. I'd been in the Maritimes and over in Europe for all the events in Germany, England for Brian Dixon All-Star Wrestling, and South Africa. And I was pretty busy, and then eventually I just booked myself in Puerto Rico for Carlos Colon.
World Wrestling Council?
And, I'd been there for like 6 months in Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
And Jacques was coming in because he had taken a year off from WWE because he just had a new boy, a second child, and he wanted to be at home more often. So he was taking indie dates here and there, only the good ones he was taking.
Mm-hmm.
And he came in Puerto Rico for a weekend, and I remember when he hopped in the van on the way to the show, he was introducing himself in Spanish and English to pretty much all the Puerto Rican boys and the American guys. And then I just said hi in French, and he was so amazed or surprised that I was coming from the same town. And they never heard of me before. And we kind of hang out, we went to do some jet skiing and went to the beach on the days off or during the afternoon. Mm-hmm. And he was watching my matches all the time. And, Jacques always been like mostly a tag team guy. I mean, he had like a single run, but he was mostly like he was really into like tag teams. So started watching me a few matches. He said, I'm going to have like Vince to have a look at you. And so he brought me in for a couple of matches and like dark matches. And I did well, I guess. So like 3 months after those tryouts, those 2 matches, back-to-back matches, they put us together as the Quebecers. So it's all startup. It was from mainly meeting with Jacques, and it was like you needed the tag partner, and for me it was a good. Nice. I'd been wanting to step into WWE or WWF, and it was an opportunity for me. So I went along with it, and I was happy.
Yeah. And we saw with the Quebecers that it was an opportunity, a good opportunity. Y'all became 3-time tag titles. You talked about this on the show before, but I wanted to get a little bit more into it. We're getting the questions racking up here, so we're going to ask them. I'm curious. you've talked about this in other interviews, but the Click's influence on your career while you were doing your singles push. I know that you were feuding with Diesel, and you were even having main event pushes, main event opportunities. What was it? Was there a specific time that the Click just derailed something that was planned for your WWE career?
Yeah, that's a long story. It was, I think, I had a little one time when I started as a Jean-Pierre Lafitte, my single career in WWE, '95. I had just done the Jacques Rougeau retirement match in Montreal Forum. It was sold out, 18,500 people.
Mm-hmm.
We were main event on that card, and the whole roster was there, from Undertaker to Yokozuna to Razor Ramon, Shawn Michaels and Jeff Jarrett, and the whole roster was on the card. It was 11 or 12 matches, and to go there and to top it off and to really seal the show that night, and so that kind of launched my solo career after that. And then I had a few discussions with Vince, and he said, we're gonna make a lot of retention. We're not gonna have you wrestle in Montreal for 2.5, 3 years, and we want the people to want you, and eventually we'll give you the them, but we're gonna wait and all that. And so I was pretty pumped after that meeting, and there was a lot of things that there were. They just hired at that time at Triple A from WCW with Paul Levesque, and he had the long black boots. And then I remember during that meeting also telling Vince, that's part of my gimmick, and he's got the boots. I said, no, we're gonna take the boots away from him, and we're gonna give it to you. And it was all positive. It was all good. And then which I had to wrestle Shawn Michaels, because Vince called me one time at home, and I was surprised that it was actually him calling myself, how are you, blah, blah, Vince, RIS got injured, and that's my semi-main event. I'd like you to replace him. And so I was already put on even before I started at Jean-Pierre, I think I was already put on the card, and then I was wrestling Shawn, and it just coming off that big match with Jacques and everything, and then they asked me, to do the job for Shawn, and I don't know, I was still in talking to Jacques, and he's like, no, man, you can't lose, it's just us against me, and blah, blah, blah. So I kind of swing the idea by Shawn that, maybe it wasn't good if I was losing in Montreal, and he got really mad and pissed off. He just said, I just won the Royal Rumble, 30 guys just put me over, you don't want to do the job for me. So I changed my mind, and I went along with it. So, it was just a little argument, a little bit. I said, oh, don't worry about it. We'll just do it, and said, fudge, I'm just going to do it. So went along and had a great match, and everybody was happy. And then I started my Lafitte run. Was undefeated for 8 months straight. And then eventually, out of the blue, Kevin Nash came up to me on a TV taping, and he says, Montreal in November, it's me and you. It's going to be Big Blue Jackknife 1, 2, 3. And that really psyched me up. I was really mad at that, because never we would know the finish a couple of months ahead of time or things like that. And it was like it never happened to me. Never heard of anything like that. And it was fed with a little bit of arrogance and then, what you do. And that's being unexperimented, I was young in the business, I started I was in WWF, I was 25. At that time, I was 27. Didn't have much experience. Got worked up pretty easy by all the boys and things like that. And so I just got really frustrated. And it was already a lot of cliques and a lot of animosity between, certain group of guys and the clique. And well, it's just, that's one thing that I kind of regret, because I fell in the trap like a kid, and I really, I mean, for what it's worth, for not wanting to lose or being mad at something like that, something that people don't even remember 4 or 5 months after, So it was that's how it went.
Yeah.
Along, but you have to take in consideration that the clique was pretty hard to deal with. They were tough on a lot of guys, like Shane Douglas and even like the Harris brothers.
Ron and Don.
They got into a fight with Sean. And knowing like Kevin Nash, like I know him today. Sometimes I feel like, well, I don't know why I didn't get along with this guy, because now I get along like super good with him, and it makes me laugh all the time. And I kind of know his sense of humor and the way he uses his arrogance to be funny. But back then, I don't know, it was just something where I really disliked those guys, and they were like, I thought they were big heads, and they were prima donna, and they were like thinking that they were bigger than the business itself, and that they were running, Vince by their power, because between the 3 or 4 of them, they had all the belts, and so that's how I felt, and that's what I was mostly opposed against. It was more I was opposed against their power more than I was maybe looking out for, what was best for me or not. That's how. I mean, that's how it came to a big thing.
Now you said that you've patched up your relationship with Kevin Nash. Have you had a chance to talk to Sean or Hunter, over the past 20 years or so?
Yeah. Well, I never had any beef with Hunter. Actually, we were roommates we traveled together for a few tours, like a few loops. We were share a car together, and we were on the road together, and we're always got along good with Hunter. With Paul, never had like if he disliked me or something, it was because what happened with my beef was mostly with Kevin and Sean, especially Sean and Kevin. I always got along cool with, and I wrestled them on a run too, like Diesel, Razor. Scott always got along okay with Scott, with the Kid, and with Paul, so. But I never really wrestled Paul, but we were both undefeated, and I remember we were making jokes about who was going to lose their winning streak first and things like that. So never had beef with Paul. It was specifically with Kevin and Sean. And Sean, I think it was in 2007 while I was over in England for All-Star Wrestling. I showed up. I was supposed to have a meeting with John Laurinaitis over in the UK, and he wasn't there. And I was supposed to meet with him, and I had a package, I had put a package together with the ideas for an angle and something like that for me and Sean. And I handed my package to Sean, and he asked him if he would give it to Vince or to someone like, to make major decision in the company, and he said, no, I will hand it to Vince myself, and he did.
Okay.
So when he said that he had changed and things like that, for me it was true. It was the reality. It was the shoot. He was it was different,
Nice.
than when I because I've seen things, 93, 94, 95. That was really, really bad from the click. And so when he handed my package to Vince and they called me up and I met with them after that at the office in Stamford, and I knew that he had he was up to his words and that he did what he said that he was going to do. So I was really impressed by that gesture, that move, the way that he acted and the way that he handled it himself with me,
Nice.
very professionally and things like that.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear. That is really cool to hear. Now you did come back for an ECW dark match, right? Was it a Dreamer that you faced?
ECW was just incredible.
Credible, okay. And that was
it was for the title. It was a title match actually at the ECW arena. Well, I had
no. You came back for the WWE version of the ECW, right?
No. It was just before, maybe a few months or maybe 6 months before they folded. It was. I remember I was doing the ECW loop, and then I was going in Saudi Arabia, and then I was coming back here in the States and in Canada, and they had financial problems, and they were hurt financially, and but I always got paid good from Paulie, and I got along good with him. But it was just it just brought me in for, I would say maybe 6 or 7 shows or something like that.
Well,
maybe 4 or 5 shows.
I knew that you did the ECW Paul Heyman, but I thought you came back for a dark match for when the rebranding of ECW.
Oh yeah, I did one against Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah,
that was the same year that I gave my package to Sean.
To Sean.
It might have been a 6 months difference. Yeah, I mean it was ECW, but it was basically the first hour of the TV taping, or the one that wasn't live. So it was me and Tommy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right about that. That was over in England, Birmingham, England, I think.
Got it. So my final question to you.
It was a tryout match.
Yeah. Which I don't think you should be doing tryout matches.
I had a bunch. I had one in 2003 and 2007. There, maybe 2009. And each and every time it was always the same thing. It was Paul, I was talking to John Laurinaitis and said, well, Carl, creative, they don't have anything for you. That was basically it was about creative, not having anything for me.
So you had a tryout in 2009 too, huh?
Yeah, that was in Mohegan Sun Arena, Connecticut. Yeah, 2009.
Wow. Who'd you face?
Yeah. Charlie Off.
Oh, okay. Did Haas go over?
Yeah, I remember he was. If I went over in the match, or if
did Haas go over? Did Haas beat you?
Yeah, he beat me. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, it was in Montreal. It's 2003. I opened up the show at 7 p.m. They wanted to have a good match to start the show and have the crowd, rowdy and going crazy for Raw. So they put me on the first and they put me over, and the crowd really got behind that.
Nice.
That night in 2003, I really thought I would get hired, did a good job and things like that with a good push.
Yeah.
I was so surprised, like a couple of weeks after, when Laurinaitis called me and he said that the creative didn't have anything for me. I mean, the crowd was, you know, it was back home though, but you know, it was like it was really a good match and a good night. 2009 wasn't that great, and the match with Tommy was like, you know, just an okay match. You know, it was nothing special.
Now, did you have a pitch for Laurinaitis? Did you have a pitch for creative, or did you just come to him and say, "Hey, I'm wanting to come back," and they said, "Okay, we'll give you a tryout match." Did you have something for them, like, as far as your package? Like,
yeah, 2009.
The package that you gave Michaels, like, what was that? What was in the package?
It was a big angle for WrestleMania for me and him. Yeah. Well, it was. I went back to Puerto Rico in 2005, and then you know, I was using like. And then over in England too, I was using like a spinning elbow as my finisher, and my kind of angle was like, instead of pinning the guys 1, 2, 3, it's going to be knockouts. You know, they get counted at count of 10, and so I was using a rolling elbow, and it was knockout. So. And the story was like, let's say I'm on the Raw and I'm not advertised. I'm just walking through, like nobody, like, you know, I'm gonna do a job or something, and you know, against a bigger name, and I surprised them with the knockout, and I counted them out. They counted the 10 count, and then building up the finish until at WrestleMania, where it was gonna, you know, like a knockout match, the super kick versus the rolling elbow, but my specialty would be knockouts. And 7, 8, 9, and that's for the first time someone's getting up, you know. So it was the build up to it, like, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm just throwing the big lines, but it was something like that.
Yeah.
Because my real name, Carl Willett, so KO, knockout, you know.
Yeah.
So it all like makes sense. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So you're Masato Tanaka style, rolling elbow.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's something that, you know, I like to be creative, and I like to be different in the business, and I think an angle like that was never seen before. It would be out of the ordinary, you know.
Yeah.
It's something totally creative, you know.
Absolutely. Yep.
And so that was the pitch. But,
yeah, that was very interesting. All right, one last quick question, because we got a few questions that I want to tackle here in the chat room. Was the result kayfabe or shoot for the Brawl for All? I know that the physicality was real, but did they want Butterbean? Was the whole thing revolved around Butterbean the whole time? How were y'all given? Because I think Russo came up with the Brawl for All idea, right?
No, it was actually that was a bar talk between Bruce Pritchard and Bradshaw. It was they were drinking beers, and Bradshaw was telling Bruce Pritchard that if it was like real fights, like he would beat anybody in the dressing room. And
also, it was a Pritchard came up with it then.
Yeah, kind of went along with it, but the thing was designed for
Dr. Death?
Dr. Death to win.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be his big push. Like, everybody thought that with the amateur background that he had, being in a 4-time All-Star, All-American, you know, winner or runner-up or whatever, and playing with the Oakland Raiders and all that, you know, all the resume, that the great resume as a tough guy and being a legit badass. They thought that would really push his character and things like that. So
Because they wanted him and
So
Austin to
that's
feud,
all
right?
Yeah, possibly. There's a possibility there. I don't know what was the final call about that, but
Gotcha.
when something a tournament like that goes, and it was no kayfabe at all. I mean, it was a oh shoot. I mean, everything. I mean, I can tell you a story. There's no one of them. They're both dead now, but they could have testified of it. But, well, my first fight was against Dr. Bet, and had they gave me like 2 weeks, maybe 2-week notice. Bruce called me, and it was during a time where I was not even on the show. I mean, I was under contract, but they weren't using me that much, and so I was at my home, and they called me up and said, Vince got a great idea for you. I'm all surprised. Yeah, what is it? Oh, well, it's a tournament, you get 5,000 per fight, and the semifinal is that amount of money, and the final is that amount. The winner is $250,000 and whatever with brackets and things like that.
And that was legit too. The winner actually got $250,000.
I think that's Bart Gunn who won it actually, but it was like 5 per match plus semi-main event, maybe semi-final with probably $50,000 and $100,000 if you win the whole thing. But with your match, if you had everything that all the purse that were adding, like all the purse together, you could win like $200,000 or $250,000.
Yeah.
And that was during a full month, a full month.
Wow.
So, like, my first fight, yeah, it was $5,000 for a fight, a three 1-minute round.
Yeah.
But it was for real. So, I was scheduled to fight Steve Williams. I knew that when Bruce called me, he told me it was going to be me and Dr. Depp on the first round. So, didn't have time to train I didn't know nothing about amateur wrestling. I didn't know like a takedown or anything like that. And, the first thing I did, I went with some MMA guys, and I kind of worked out like a little bit for two weeks. And there's one coach that I wanted to have with me on my corner, and I brought him on the road with me. And, paid for his room, paid for plane tickets, paid for him to be in my corner and things like that. And when we got to Raw, they came up to me, office guy came to me and said, well, we're not going to do your fight this week, we're going to do it next Monday. So I had to bring this guy, I had to carry him on the road with me during other shows prior to that. And after, he did the whole loop with me. So then I didn't get the... didn't eat all day, preparing for that fight, because you don't want to get knocked out or anything like that. You want to look good. So I didn't have no appetite. I didn't want to eat. I wanted to, so I was all, on the adrenaline and things like that. So when they said, no, it's not this week, so we changed it. It's going to be next week. So I didn't want to pay another like $3 or $4 just to bring my coach again for another show, not knowing if it was going to be changed again. So I went by myself. Yeah. But that was like a tough blow, to swallow. It was tough. My morale was kind of didn't expect anything like that. So I went with the generic coach, because it was one coach for the blue corner, let's say one coach for the red corner. It was the same coach for every fighter. So there were nothing special, no relationship, he knows my strength, he knows my weaknesses. It was basically, okay, now it's this, it's that. It was generic, Mm-hmm. So I went along with the coach that they gave me, and I went like the third round. I think it was like 8 seconds to go, and they stopped the match. Didn't get knocked down once, didn't get in trouble at any time. So that was it. So, but during maybe let's say the show starts at 7, maybe at 6 or at 5 p.m. Hawk came to me, one of the Road Warriors, and So Mike came to me. He says, "Man," he said, "you know, I know Steve. I know Steve. You know he's dangerous. You know he's crazy. So when he tags you with the glove, you know, just take a dive and just stay there, pick up your 5 Gs. You're not gonna get injured or anything like that." And
So he wanted to kayfabe it.
Hawk. And I told Hawk, I said, Hawk, now you're going to go back to Steve, and I don't want to swear on your show because it's PG, but so you're going to go back to Steve, you're going to tell him to keep his freaking money and tell him he's in for the fight of his life.
All right.
I don't want to know nothing about the deal that he wants to do. I'm for real, and I don't care about anything. If he has to injure me, tell him to injure me. It's not going to happen. So kind of Huck was surprised, you know, on my reaction. And I felt like I was tested by the office because, you know, when I refused, you know, the whole thing with the click, I said, okay, you know, you wanted to make problems, or we'll see if he can back up his words or whatever. So for me, it was like a big test, you know, like just going against Steve Williams, and I didn't want anything. I didn't want the boys to tell each other that I just wanted to be so legit and go there. And I was, in all honesty, I was hoping to win that tournament. Yeah. Saying if there's a slight chance that I can win it, that's going to make me, you know. So I went, you know, I was hoping that I could win this whole thing. So I really thought I could win it. It didn't happen, but you know, I had that in my mind that it could happen. So Butterbean was never part of the plan. The thing is, Bart Gunn won the whole thing, and when he won against on the second round, the first round was Bart Gunn and Bob Ali, and they had a great fight. Well, it was like they were really going at it both. It was pretty like equal, but maybe Bart had maybe landed more shots and things like that. So he won by points, but it was not a knockout.
Right.
But every other guy that went against Bart Gunn, they got knocked out.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yep.
And we kind of knew because I was traveling with the Guns, and I was traveling with Sid, and I was traveling with a bunch of guys, and Bob Ali and those guys. We're traveling a lot together, and Bart was always like saying like if he could have a fight with the Iron Sheik, even if he was like a gold medalist or a bronze medalist, the Olympics, that he would beat him up. And everybody was like, "Come on, Bart, you know, gotta stop that." And he really had that confidence in himself. So when he did knock out Steve Williams, Dr. Death, which was like with 12 seconds left, because he was losing on points and everything. Like Steve Williams on his way to win the match against Bart Gunn, and he was gonna win this one and probably win the whole thing. And Bart was a lefty, and he had a solid left. And if anybody was gonna hit him in the rib cage or anything, he was not feeling any pain. So he wouldn't even protect the lower body. He would just protect his head, and he would just land a solid left hook, and he was knocking everybody. He knocked out Steve Williams, knocked out Papa Shango, whatever the other name was.
Godfather. Kama Mustafa, yeah.
No, with the train. That was the last run. When he had the train with the girl. With the money and everything.
Let me see. Oh man, what was it?
Well,
he was. Well, the Godfather was Kama Mustafa, right, at the time.
Yeah, the Godfather. Yeah, it was the Godfather.
Yeah,
actually, it was the Godfather. He got knocked out too.
Yeah, and then he beat Bradshaw at the end.
Bradshaw, they can dance too on the floor. So it was like he.
Yeah.
So he went through the whole thing. Now everybody in the office thought that he could really legitimately beat Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
So now they had in their mind to make a big match between Mike Tyson and Bart Gunn, and that Bart Gunn would win it. But Butterbean was supposed to be a setup for Mike Tyson.
Really?
But, Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, really. That was the thing. If you go back in the magazines, the WWE magazine at that time, they already had like spreads of Tyson facing Bart Gunn.
Wow.
It was all over the place.
How did that slip through the cracks of stuff that I did not know? I never knew that. I thought that, because there was a lot of rumors going around that Butterbean was supposed to squelch Bart Gunn's win because people weren't expecting Bart to win. That's the
I can tell you the whole dressing room was expecting Bart Gunn to win against Butterbean. All the boys believed that Bart was the guy after winning Brawl for All.
Yeah.
And it's when it happened, when he really faced a real boxer, that we realized that he was not even close, because the fight lasted only 12 seconds at WrestleMania.
So that just killed
and it was the first
all
time
the thoughts for Billy and Tyson.
And that rib cage, and he felt that one, like the transfer of the weight transfer and the technique and everything, and the quickness and the snapness and the strength of Butterbean. I mean, he was a massacre, basically. You know?
Yeah, it was.
So that kind of killed everything off.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't follow up with anything. Brawl for All there was no follow up on Brawl for All now, because all the cards were put against. It was supposed to be Bart and Tyson.
Wow.
And even we're talking about the generic coach that we had in corners. Some of the coach, were boxing trainers and things like that. And they probably got impressed by Bart, and they probably went to, some people in the office saying, yeah, this guy, and Bart would tell you also, if he talks to you one time or a few times, that he, for Butterbean, he had changed his style to be more like a boxer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he felt like it threw him off his style, or what had given like success prior to that was taken away from him, because he was trying to be something that he was not, a style that he was not totally confident, or didn't feel like it was himself for boxing or whatever, fighting. But I don't think that would have changed anything, even if he would went there with his own style.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've been wrestling all our life. We're not boxers. We're wrestlers, and even guys that refused to do that Brawl for All thing. It was like Ken Shamrock didn't want to get into that. He said, "I'm not going to swing with 300-pound guys, and I can't have my ground game," because it was just takedowns and punches.
Yeah.
So you couldn't choke or use anything else. So he didn't want to be involved, and a bunch of guys didn't want to be involved, and a bunch of guys that were involved got injured, neck injury and all kinds of injuries. Savio Vega got injured, Mark Merrill got injured. Dan Severn was in the tournament, but because he had boring matches, they took him out of there after a couple of wins. They put another guy. It was a real farce, It was a real joke at the end.
Yeah, that's true. Really interesting stuff.
Because the fights weren't wrestling fans didn't expect that. So
right,
and they kind of got disappointed by the action. So they were trying to have more exciting fights, because Dan, he was there to win. So he was just on the takedowns all the time. Didn't want to exchange, boxings or anything like that. So it was totally a takedown. So it's kind of boring.
Well, that's what made him an MMA legend. Those daggone takedowns.
Oh no! He's a monster. I don't take any credit away from Shamrock or from Dan Severn. I'm just saying the concept that they came up with, takedowns or 5 points if you landed. It was just a weird way to count points until decide winners, and it was funny, weird rules, and the whole thing was weird.
Yeah, I wonder if they were trying to make a because UFC started booming around that time with Royce Gracie, and like Ken Shamrock, like around like Gracie was more like 93 or so, 92, 93, and then like Ken Shamrock was real big around 95, 96 time. Really 95. So it seems I wonder if they were trying to combat not necessarily combat but just kind of create an alternative for MMA with the Brawl for All. It just seems like you know what I mean, because UFC started to really become an entity around that time. So I just wonder if WWE was trying to
were taking some ground.
Yeah. I wonder if they were trying to grab some attention.
Everybody's wondering why they came up with that formula and what was the idea behind it. And the only thing I feel like if Steve Williams would have won it, like it was supposed to win it, and that would have been a great push for him. So he ended up being a great push for Bart Gunn, who took Steve Williams' spot in Japan for All Japan Pro Wrestling. So. They made something big. He was using a left hook over there in Japan as a finisher.
Yeah.
So, but it didn't do anything for WWF. It didn't do anything for them at all.
Interesting.
Basically, Bart was the winner of the whole thing. He ended up getting knocked out in 12 seconds by Butterbean.
Yeah.
So the whole idea with Mike Tyson and Bart was down the drain.
Yeah.
And then on the way there, like Dr. Death tore his bicep of the leg, a broken jaw. He was all like injured for 6 months or 4 months. I don't know how long. He was in bad shape, concussions and all that. So he fell through the ropes, ended up outside the ring with a broken jaw and tore his leg up. And so there's a lot of. I think Godfather had a neck injury. Salu Vega had a neck injury. So it took a toll on a lot of the boys.
Yeah, it did. All right, so let's very interesting stuff. I never knew that about the Brawl for All. See, that's the reason why I love talking to people like you, who've been in the business for a long time. Because I usually do a lot of digging. I'm a research journalist, so I love to research. I've written thousands of articles. I know a lot about the business since like 80s. Even I was binging on like Continental stuff from and I was binging on stuff from the 70s recently. And
also what you could do now is go and verify everything that I told you. Re-verified the Mike Tyson, storyline over there and things like that. So you'll be able to
really interesting. Out. Yeah, I love hearing stuff like that because, like I said, as much research as I do, I love road stories and talking to like people who've been in the business for a while because I love to hear something that I didn't know about. And I didn't know that WWE actually had Mike Tyson versus Bart Gunn, kind of pegged for a big show. Now,
that was going to be the big payoff.
Wow.
Well, that was on their surprise too, because nobody expected Bart Gunn to win the whole thing.
Right.
Just a few of the boys like myself and Bob Ollie and Billy Gunn knew how tough Bart was, but it was not a guy who would get into fights, on the road either. He was just a gentleman all the time. He was a great guy, So it was just by talking with him, just knowing like how good he could have been, it was just and basically sometimes when you have people like kind of bragging was just for fun. It's not someone who would brag on the road, but he would brag just to make a joke, he would put himself over just to make a joke. And then we realized that there was a lot of truth behind that. Those things, and then we knew that he could go all the way after that. He went through Steve Williams, and he did, and in a spectacular way too.
Yeah.
And I totally understand from the boxing coach that really believed that he could go much further,
Mm-hmm.
And but it all got shattered, by Butterbean.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. All right, so I got a few questions for you. Just give me some quick answers. I don't want to take too much of your time. I really appreciate you coming back on the show, man. This has been a lot of fun.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, so I got a few questions for you. Gabriel's asking, how do you feel about the new Villain Enterprises titles? Like them or dislike them? For those who haven't seen them, well, first of all, watch Best in the World. It was a really good show. And they unveiled the new Villain Enterprises 6-man titles. Really, really interesting looking titles. Very artistic. It looks like there are a lot of work put into that, and they successfully defended their titles against Lifeblood. And then somebody joined Villain Enterprises. I would say I ain't gonna spoil it for you, but it's been like a week and a half since Best in the World, so I'm sure people know who's the newest member of Villain Enterprises now. But how do you feel about the new titles, and do you like them or dislike them?
I like them. I mean, I really like them. What I really like about them, I mean, physically, I think they're looking great. They're looking awesome. Also, what I do like about it is the fact that it's really personalized to the enterprises. It's the logo, the name, so I think it really it really puts over the faction, and one of the greatest faction in pro wrestling today, and then it really enhances the fact that on top of being 6-man world tag champs, we'll also have our own belts, our own championships. So it just adds, to it just makes the fact that it's personalized, it just makes it bigger and larger than life. I think it's great. I really like them.
Agreed. Michael's asking, the Monday Night PCL training videos are great. Did you produce them or ROH?
No, it's actually we've been producing them for since day one. Even when I was on the indie scene, we were producing it. We have a thing. I think why people are asking that. It's like one of them, like not this week, but the week before, the one where I'm against a whole football team by myself. It's really like a movie kind of shooting, and there's a big team behind it because there's a team following me everywhere, working on the PCO documentary. And which is going to be like a 2-hour long. It's going to be it's going to be a documentary, but it's going to be presented as like for movies. It's going to be in theaters and things like that.
Nice.
So those people who are following me, they got professional cameras and professional studios and editing and things like that. So I can tell you right away that there's going to be. Sometimes it'll be like this, the cheaper production, but the ones that we're going to do with the team that's shooting the movie on me, we should have an extra 12 episodes that's going to be really shoot like a movie.
Nice.
So, really professional. So they're investing money in some of the production for some Monday Night PCO Industrial.
Wow.
Actually, we're going to shoot 5 different entrances of PCO Industrial. They're going to be, they're going to be part of Monday Night PCO Industrial. 5 different entrances, but they're not going to be entrances. They're going to be like movies, videos, but they're showing 5 different ways that PCO can enter. go into the ring. So that'd be pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, with this documentary makes it even more of a reason for you to beat Matt Taven for that Ring of Honor World Championship. That would be such a awesome part of the documentary.
It kind of put, I feel like I got pressure. just to have like a good documentary, but also, you know, like my goal is to really like make the biggest comeback in sports history altogether, whether it's boxing, golf, or wrestling, or in any sports, you know. So I think a world title is as part of the. I mean, it would be like really the cherry on top of the sundae. I mean, I think it's got to be part of the comeback. So I'm gonna work really hard and really focus and stay focused on winning a world title for sure.
Absolutely. All right, a few more quick ones. Ali's asking, anything you want to accomplish that you haven't done yet? I guess what you just said pretty much answers that question as far as your documentary and winning the title.
Winning a major world title, a major company, a world title, and solidify, you know, the greatest comeback in the history, period, in the history of sports, you know, altogether. I mean, in my book so far, it's the George Foreman comebacks that comes to my mind, you know, first. You know, as Tiger Woods was mentioned this year for having a great comeback, but to me, George Foreman was the biggest thing right now, and got tremendous respect for everything that he's done. I've been watching every video, every fight, every ounces of George Foreman, and I just want to surpass that. I just want to make a bigger comeback than he did. Not because it's got nothing to do with George Foreman. It's just part of the way I envisioned, you know, my goal when I was 14 years old, 15, 16. I wanted to make a major impact on the wrestling industry. And now that I have the story playing in my favor at my age, now I'm saying to myself, everything that I wanted to do in this business, I can do it now. I mean, now it's time, because now, you know, I've done a lot of the work already, and I've got this team following me, and for me, winning a world title and becoming the greatest comeback in sport history, it becomes a great movie, not just a documentary, but just when they have movie based on true story, you got the movie there, you got a book there, you got so many things that can be reattached to that. So, I mean, this is a must-do for me to say. There's no other way around it. It's gotta, and I feel like the fans and everybody within the industry and the wrestling business totally get the sacrifices and the hard times. Just when I was telling you at the beginning of the show, how many tryouts and how many times that I was told no, I couldn't do this, or no, I couldn't be a baby face, no one would ever like me in the United States. And I've been through so many obstacles in my life that I feel like I've got the people being with me toward this goal. I feel like I feel the support from the fans and everybody. So it's really cool, because sometimes you got guys, can win titles, 5, 6, 10, 12 times, but just to win a world title, but just it really means something because you have worked so hard and against all odds, and add on top of that the age, the physicality, the taking a risk, and everything else that comes with it. You know, basically betting on myself against all odds all the time. And it finally pays off. You want to go all the way to the end. You know, you want to make it all the way to the.
Yeah.
You know, it just feels like it's so close to it.
How could you not get behind a story like that? That's all I want to say about that. That's awesome, man. It really is. It really is.
Yeah. It is so much.
Wow. So my last question is Daniel's asking, speaking of KOs, how does it feel having a hand in Kevin Owens' training or Kevin Steen's training and seeing how far he's come? That's the last question for tonight.
Well, you know, the thing with Kevin is like, it's hard to say I trained him because, yes, you know, I was there. He was 14 years old, and I was the wrestling school when he was there, and I might have taught him a few things, you know, basic things. I can remember that just about holding a side headlock. You know, they would ask me different things. Oh, you should probably put my feet like that or like that or like that. So there's no right way to do it or wrong way. It's do it the way you feel comfortable. You know, like if you put your left foot in front of the right one, there's an advantage. If you put your right one and you put the left one in the X, the other one, the right one in front of the left one, there's another advantage. So the guy cannot reach the closest leg. But, you know, both styles are good because if you go back in history, some guys, they do have a side headlock in a way, and some other guys have changed it for another ways. And it's the same thing with hitting the ropes. Now you got guys holding up to the second rope as they hit the top rope with their right arm, and they hit the left rope, the second rope with the left arm. And sometimes there's so many ways to do so many different things. I just told them, you know, just whatever you're comfortable. But just to say that at the end of the day, by the time we worked matches together and we wrestled each other, I mean, I was probably learning more from him than I was learning from myself. So I'm very proud of him because at one point, you know, a lot of people are asking, well, how come, like, what's all about Kevin and things like that? Well, the guy, you know, he was labeled as one of the most, if you say when he was a kid, when he was 14, 15, first thing, like, people were saying, this guy's going to be a future star one day. And I remember when he was going from Montreal to Philly, Montreal to Jersey, and I was getting paid probably $50 per show, and he was losing money on every weekend that he was spending in the States. It was costing him money to get there and to wrestle. And for like took like 13 or 14 or 15 years before he made it to the big time. So everything was well deserved. A lot of people don't know what he's been through and how much he gambled, you know, on his career, and then he took chances. And I really respect everything that he did. Like, you know, for him to believe in himself and to, like, you know, basically a little bit like anybody who makes it, you know, he had to believe in himself. So really proud of him. Really, really proud of him.
Yep.
I think he's done a tremendous job.
Indeed.
Yeah. So,
I agree.
Yeah, there can be, yeah.
Yep. I remember.
Paid a lot of dues and did a lot of things that the general public don't know what he did, what he's been through. But I was there almost every step of the way. Even if sometimes I would lose him, like, for 2 or 3 years, I was always, you know, in contact with people around us that knew each other, and yeah.
Yep.
So he worked hard for it.
He did. And I remember one interview I saw from years and years ago. He said something that stuck out to me. He said that I'd rather go to WWE and hate it than not to go to WWE at all. And I think that was his mindset. He always wanted to make it to the big leagues, to make it to WWE. And I think that that's a really good philosophy for people to have. Like, WWE is big time. It's good to have experience. That's, you've been there. You've been champ. You've been a tag team champ for 3 times, and so you've had your WWE experience. And Kevin said that he'd rather go and hate it than not to go at all, just because as a wrestler you want that experience. But it's good for you that you've had that experience before, and now it's one of the greatest comeback stories ever known in sports history. That what you're doing right now, you're so over, one of the most popular people in all of professional wrestling, and at the ripe young age of 51 years old, man, you're still doing an amazing job. And I'm pulling for you. I've got a lot of people in the chat room pulling for you as well. Hopefully, man, people like you so much, man. I'd like to bring you on again. There's some questions that weren't answered, just to respect your time. But yeah, man, I got your number, man. I'll text you, and hopefully we'll make it to round 3 sooner than later, man, to bring you back on the show. My fans love you, man.
That's great. That's great. I mean, I go all out, in the ring. I give everything I've got. When I do an interview like tonight with you, I'm trying to give as much as I can, like in the ring, as much in the interview. Like, I like to give you a little bit of more than just, little blah, 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 and this. I like to give you a little, without hurting anyone, a little bit of gossip, so it becomes interesting for the fans. It's something that I think when the people can grasp what we're doing behind the scene, it makes it so much, because it's so hard sometimes, and it's hard to explain, but people think, oh yeah, wrestling is this and wrestling is that. Well, one thing is real for sure. It's all the politics, all the behind the scenes, all the, the jealousy, the this, the that, and there's, so when you really make it in pro wrestling, you really have made. It's because you really made it, and I'm saying it each and every day. To become a world champion in pro wrestling is as hard to become a world champion in any other sports.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you have to dedicate your whole life to it. There's no other way around. Yep. This is not a part-time thing. This is not a hobby thing. You got to be focused 24/7. You got to get up, think about it, about you wanting to become a champion. Going to bed, you wanting to become a champion. Getting in the gym, you want to become a champion. You do a promo, you look at your paper, and I want to become a world champion. And it's got to be there every day, every minute, every second of your life. And that's the main thing.
100% agree, man. Daniel's saying one last thing. I got to let PCO know that he took the hearse on his chest like a champ. Good stuff. So, yeah. Man, hopefully sooner than later, you can go ahead and put that cherry on that documentary and become world champ. Until then, man, we'll enjoy every match that you have, man. You give it your all and enjoy those 6-man titles, man. Really appreciate you coming on the show again tonight.
Yeah, anytime. Just let me know. Anytime, man. I love doing it. It's great. Thank you so much.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much, and have a good night.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Man, he's starting to become one of my favorite people to interview. We just hit it off. The first time I asked him to be on the show was this year sometime. And, man, just talked to him on the phone. Just a nice guy. Just a really nice guy, man. And talked on the phone a few times and hit it off. And texted him again, and he said, "Oh yeah, absolutely, I'd love to come back on the show." And so, major kudos to PCO for being on the show again, man. Really, I mean, one of the best stories going on in pro wrestling right now. Super cool dude, man. Humble, down to earth dude. Major kudos to PCO. Thanks to everybody for asking your questions too. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into some stuff. So I got a custom made, baby. We're going to do a tournament again today. Most likely we're going to do like the first round. But I got a custom made. Okay, PNP is we're moving up, buddy. Because I have a custom made formed tournament bracket this week. The greatest former one-time WWE champion. I got the actual brackets. Look at this. So look, in WWE history, there have been 22 former WWE champions. So I didn't count Kofi Kingston. Yes, Daniel, I went NCAA on it. So there's been 22 total former WWE champions. So I'm not counting Kofi Kingston, because Kofi Kingston is the 23rd one-time WWE champion. There's been 22 total that has been former one-time WWE champions. I didn't count the World Heavyweight Championship. I counted the WWE Championship. So 22, and we're going to do the first round. There are 6 kind of play-in games, and Alonzo's still reeling from the wild episode of PNP last week. Yes, sir. That's a really good. Matter of fact, man, you get the applause. You get the comment applause right now, man, so far. Yeah. Yeah, CYD, cover your donkey, right? So the so the play-in games, there's 6 of them. So the 6 are the people who had the titles the shortest time. So they're the play-in games. So those 6, 12 altogether. Those 6 matches, those 12 people are Rey Mysterio, Andre the Giant, Kane, Stan Stasiak, Buddy Rogers, Jeff Hardy, Vince McMahon, Iron Sheik, Bray Wyatt, Psycho Sid, Ivan Koloff, and RVD. Those are the 12 people out of the one time who had it the shortest amount of time. So those 12 people are going to vie to be in those are play-in games, and then the tournament starts after those games. So it should be pretty fun. This probably lasts about 2 or 3 weeks. We'll see where it goes for it. But you guys are going to vote the greatest one-time former WWE champion and actual, like Daniel says, NCAA tournament bracket style. Because I actually made a custom-made bracket for this time. So that's the upgrade for the tournaments now, custom-made brackets. All right, let's do it. Let's do the first trivia question for the night. Is Bryan Adams and Brian Clark formed the team blank? Bryan Adams and Brian Clark formed the team blank. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring in the co-host with the most. His name is Evan Tech Proud. Hey, yo.
Hey, yo. What's going on?
It's time.
Here, reeling, gotta watch our donkeys.
That's right.
If you will.
That's right.
Shout
CYA,
out to,
cover your donkey.
Last week. DYA, we had DYA.
CYD.
PCO. Yeah.
Yes.
JYD.
Yes. Man,
RTO.
my homie,
PRO.
Tradisha, she went in, man.
Yeah, shout out to her. You know,
yes.
with her cup of Diet Coke, and I'm using in quotation. We all know Diet Coke has some kids, but it's all good. Yeah, you know, lots of donkeys.
Yep.
And of course, we all know that back in the day in high school, we was in high school. Shout out to Mr. Ryan, who's listening, one of my staff members. He was a lot older. Yeah, drafting classes. So we all know Chris. He took a drafting class to use the machine to look up that bracket. Those lines are too crisp, too straight. You're making that hand.
Yeah, yeah. The handmade ones. Yeah, that got too much, man. I was just and plus this one had 22 people on there too, and I was like, you know what, man? All this time, why not just find some type of software to make it on its own. So I computed a few things and came out a very nice, crispy looking bracket that I printed out in my office. So looks good.
I just want to say this real quick. I think since it's summertime, Chris, it's time for you to invest in a SummerSlam sign, like you do for WrestleMania. You have all the SummerSlam logos, even SummerSlam 1994. And I watched Starrcade 94. We talked about that. I know that's the upcoming flavor of the week. And I have to say, Hogan and Brudai, the Booty Man, Brother
Butcher.
Booty, the Butcher, the Disciple, the Man with No Name, Zodiac. I rather watch Taking Goldberg.
Yeah.
It took me an hour to watch about a 20-minute match.
Yeah, Evan was he was doing commentary by messaging me during the matches, and man, he was not happy about what he was seeing. I gotta do it. Daniel said, "Good job, Chris. If podcasting doesn't work out, you've got a bright future at Kinko's." You know what? I'll consider that, but I'll be a doctor this year, so hopefully that's a big leap from from Kinko's. So kudos to the people who work at Kinko's, because I wouldn't be that people. And so, like, listen, man, someone has to work at Kinko's, and the people who do, hey, kudos to y'all, man.
And look, I worked at Kinko's before it was a Kinko's. My trade was printing technology, so I ran the actual press with the ink, the rollers, the dark room. Somebody young may not know what a dark room is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I did all of it. The laminating machine,
nice.
The press, OPAD machines, all of that stuff.
Nice. That's awesome.
All fine.
That's
I think you got a question.
When print media was actually a thing. Now it's being taken over by digital media. So, Chronic is the correct answer. Good job, guys. Chronic. I actually like Chronic. Back in WCW.
The theme song.
What's going on? Eli said that was a good talk. Thank you, Eli. I appreciate it. Yes, Michael, I'll be a doctor. I'll be a forensic psychology doctor. Daniel says, congrats on the PhD. Thank you much. Yes, I'm going to have a PhD in forensic psychology. So that's what's going to happen at the end of the year. So Michael says CSI. That's typically what forensic psychology is thought about as. That's one of many facets of forensic psychology. So typically people say, oh yeah, so like the CSI, Criminal Minds type thing. Yeah. So yeah,
sure. Trace.
Bones, Michael says as well. All right, so let's get into this stuff. PCO talked for over an hour. So that's awesome. that's super awesome. And like I said, man, I love hearing people who are like been in the business for over 25 years share road stories and just talk about that stuff. I never knew about that Brawl for All thing. That's interesting. I absolutely love being on an interview and someone saying something to me that I never knew about. As much as I research about articles, much as I research and stuff as a journalist, there's not many things that I don't know about as far as like, stuff that's been around and popular rumors and stuff like that. But I never knew about Bart Gunn versus my Iron, as Vince McMahon would say, Iron Mike Tyson. Oh man, it seems like every time Vince McMahon would say that, he's about to pop a nerve in his Iron Mike Tyson. The baddest man on the planet.
He Vince had to bust a blood vessel.
Oh yeah.
He's even in the WrestleMania Arcadia game. The Undertaker, the Ultimate Warrior.
Right.
Remember that? He all goes in a pepper pig shot.
Right. Yeah, Eli's talking about Alberto Del Rio versus Ortiz. Yeah, so for those who don't know, they're going to have an MMA fight between the two. That should be pretty interesting to see. I think Tito would run the floor with El Patron, but from what I know, I mean, I've watched Del Rio's old MMA stuff, and he didn't look too bad though. I mean, I only reason why I'm saying that is because Ortiz, he's an MMA guy. He's had so many years of MMA experience, and Del Rio didn't have too much, MMA experience. So, but Ortiz is going to take him to the woodshed, man. As far as what it seems. Now we could be surprised. But I don't see that happening. No, I don't see that.
Have you met Tito Ortiz?
I have not met Tito Ortiz. Nope.
I've seen him in person. My good old at a convention. My good old buddy Dan Sutherland and Kenny Shamrock. Ortiz has probably the most muscular forehead I've seen. That dude's no joke. So, I mean, I guess that's the thing. Your wrestling career go down, so you either be a movie star, you host a bunch of kid shows, and you try to get MMA. They'll wait for Punk.
Right.
They're real and last longer than Punk. Lashley's legit. Brock's legit. Yeah.
Yep.
It's good to see. I mean, he'll last longer than Screech from Celebrity Boxing.
Right. I remember that. All right, let's zoom through this flavor of the week because we don't have too much time left. PCO took a chunk of the time, which is great. I'm totally cool with that. I'm gonna text them again, guys. Tweet me at Chris Prolific when you want to have PCO back on. I actually have I have some really good interviews, really interesting interviews coming up. Both live, next week and the week after. I have live interviews scheduled. Next week is going to be really interesting. I'm really excited about next week's interview, and I think you all are going to have a lot of questions ready for this person. So, and then the next week after that is going to be pretty cool too. Perfectly, I like it, Daniel. Dan, you get an applause for that. PCO stands for Perfectly Cool Overtime. You also get a ooh yeah for that too, yeah.
Ooh yeah. When we gonna get Black Bart? Back? We need a part 3. Black Bart here, Featherstone.
Yes.
Here. So Feather.
I should put Black Bart. This is what I want to do.
No.
I want to have a triple threat episode. I'm going to have Black Bart, Raka Khan, and PCO on the same night.
PCO. Oh, man.
What a show that would be, ladies and gentlemen. That would be a dadgum show if you ever heard one, that's for sure.
Dadgum show.
Man, that would be an amazing show.
Taste them in the mouth.
Yep. We're 20 weeks away from our 400th episode, ladies and gentlemen. That is a big deal. Once again, Ask Chris. Hashtag Ask Chris.
Thank you, Alonzo.
See, all right. So let's jump into the flavor. Let's jump into the headlines real quick, guys. We don't have much time, so let's do this. Here we go. Okay. Alonzo, I'll get to that. I will get to that.
You can't wait.
All right, so let's start off with Kofi Kingston being injured. Just real quick, he's reportedly injured, but at the same time, he's still slated to defend against Joe. That's the reason why he's been very physical recently. There was an event that I think it was a SmackDown event that he got injured. So, I don't. I think you got to keep Kofi if he's able to, and we'll get to Extreme Rules predictions too. That's the reason we got to zoom through this stuff. So yeah, he injured his lower back, and so I mean that can be very nagging. That could be very nagging and difficult to really because I've had lower back injuries for 24 years, and I've had 2 surgeries, and just hours and hours and hours of rehab, still rehabbing it. So yeah, that lower back, man, it's a pain, and so we'll see. We'll see how far Kofi retains the title, and hopefully this injury doesn't take him away. I think Kofi is one of the best things that they're doing right now. In WWE, I like the underdog beating, competition after competition. I was real quick. And I've said this before in the show. I can't stand the 50-50 booking for one, and for two, one thing that really jacked. One thing that's really different from where it was 20 years ago, because 98 was like the breakout for WWE. Yeah, over organically. Yep. 98 was the breakout for WWE as far as breaking out from the Monday Night Wars. Went 83 weeks without winning. They didn't win at all, and I think it was 97. They did not win 1 week at all in 97. 98, it was back and forth, and then the Austin versus McMahon is what really took it over as far as WWE just winning again and just dominating. And one thing that was so interesting about the Austin versus McMahon is that Austin kept winning and winning and winning and winning and winning and winning, and the thing is, the point was, McMahon was so tired of Austin being the anti-hero babyface that he kept putting people in his way to stop his momentum. That was the biggest thing about Austin versus McMahon. He wanted to stop the momentum of Austin. So, there were many times that he went against Taker. That was a big opponent for him at the time. The Rock in 99 when he went against The Rock. Of course, Foley, Kane, Taker and Kane together. So it was one of those things that Vince McMahon, Austin was so over because he kept defying the odds that the Vince McMahon threw in his face. Now there were times where that Austin would get pinned. I remember Vince pinning Austin before. There were times when he would lose the first blood match against Kane, and so. But at the same time, he would still get his comeuppance, quickly, and that is what made WWE so interesting because. And it wasn't Austin getting 50-50 booking and losing every now and then. Austin was always over. He won he seldomly lost because he seldomly lost, that that drew the ire of Vince McMahon, and Vince McMahon wanted to stop the momentum. And that is the formula that made WWE exciting to watch, because we wanted Austin to win. We wanted him to get over. Daniel was saying Austin stayed over because he was like the every man that watched wrestling, except he got to beat up his boss. Exactly. And so he won match after match after match after match. And we want that. Like the 50-50 booking, it helps nobody. It puts nobody over. And that's one thing that I do appreciate about what they're doing with Kofi, although they're having him lose a little bit more now, which I don't like. But I like the fact that they keep putting people in front of him, and he keeps winning because he's really good in the ring, and he can go with anybody. And so the reason why he's more over right now, because going into WrestleMania, the two biggest names were Kofi Kingston, Becky Lynch. Those were the two hottest names in WWE. Becky Lynch, nosedive as far as just interest. Lacey Evans, people can say Lacey Evans has caused that the interest to go down. The alliance with Seth Rollins, which we're about to get to that in a little bit. The man's man T-shirt. Yikes! But it's like, whatever factor it is, it most likely is a variety of factors. We're not seeing Becky Lynch defy the odds and go against a bunch of people and keep momentum by beating person after person. It's like she's been trapped with Lacey Evans ever since, after WrestleMania. And since then, I mean, it's really caused her to be a lack of interest. So it's not okay.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
So we got the
like I said, nobody's interested.
Yeah, they're not.
Nobody's interested. Nobody's interested in Becky. Nobody's interested in Seth. They have no villains to fight.
Right.
Kofi's doing great, but he's hurt. None of the belts mean anything. And people forget that Finn Balor's the IC champ. So, it's just sad. I'll let you know about the ratings war. WWE at one point got a 1.9 back in May of 1996. So I know people complain about the ratings, but WWE didn't get a 1.9 yet.
Yeah.
And it did not be Nitro only one time in 97. So
not one time. Nope. Not one time.
Nope.
All right, so let's get real quick. Let's get to the Man's Man shirts. What are y'all thoughts on the Man's Man? Like, a lot of people are giving that a lot of flack, which I do too. It's like, why would you? I just like, and it's nothing to do with Rollins and Becky Lynch dating. That's cool. I mean, if they want to date, that's on them. That has nothing to do with my gripe. My gripe is that how much is this lowering the interest of Seth Rollins, your biggest champion right now, your universal champion, having a shirt that says the Man's Man. That is absolutely terrible, and it makes Rollins look like a second fiddle to Becky Lynch. Your champion, your biggest champion of the company is wearing a shirt that basically makes him look like a sidekick to Becky Lynch. Like, how much does that hurt the legitimacy of your champion? That's absolutely terrible.
Yeah, you're calling your woman the man, and you're putting her first, and then you're second. So basically, she's the man and you're the woman.
That's terrible.
You see the second fiddle, you're the Launchpad McClare, you're the Trebek from Matlock and Walker, Texas Ranger. No one cares. He's up there staring at her. She's grabbing his butt. She doing all the bad stuff. He's sitting there gossiping at the interviews.
Right.
The chemistry.
What she said.
No one cares.
Terrible.
That stuff Elizabeth would have said was savage. That stuff the woman would say when the man does a promo and say, "Oh, okay, what he said," or "Yeah, with Deborah Austin," or other things. Okay, right.
Yeah.
Stuff is
I mean, I get, I'm cool
Burn it
with the
down.
women's evolution. I'm totally cool with that. Definitely cool with Becky. Big fan of Becky as a competitor, but it's like, sometimes
Burn
you
it
just
down.
sometimes you gotta just let things be how they were, and you know what I mean, like it's like I miss the days and I won't even call it passe. Like I miss the day. I miss the Elizabeth. I miss the men being the heels for mistreating the elegant woman. You know what I mean? Like I miss those days. Like I do. I appreciate the Maria Mannix of this world. True, sure, but the same and the Jordan Graces and the Tessa Blanchards and stuff like that. I get it, but at the same time, it's like I miss the very, very daunty, elegant, woman being the baby face, the beautiful damsel in distress baby face, and people like Savage abusing that. And people hating Savage because don't you dare, treat a woman like that. I that's what I miss. And I also miss also miss like the beautiful, very, China and Eddie. Eli is saying, yeah, I agree with that. China and Eddie, it's a good example. And I also miss like the heelish, the people who still have that really elegant look, but are very mischievous. Like Woman, like perfect example. Woman was
Sherry.
amazing. Sherry Martel. Sherry Martel was more over the top, but Woman was a perfect example. Like very elegant.
She never spoke.
Like just came in, was all about business, but she had a commanding type of aura to her, and didn't have to be over the top, didn't have to do all that, but she, Flair, woman, oh woman, would you marry me now? Like just that type of elegance.
Oh woman, but she didn't talk. She didn't speak.
Yeah, didn't have to say anything. Yeah, Dark Journey was another one. Precious, Sunshine, all.
Your favorite Sapphire.
Sapphire. Yeah, baby. Sci-fi, baby.
Baby Doll. Shout out to Baby Doll. Perfect.
Yeah, Baby Doll. That was another. Yeah, Baby Doll, definitely another one. Yep. All right, so Undertaker versus Sting.
Linda Mouse.
So they teased the Undertaker versus Sting. Okay, here I'm gonna say this.
Read the article.
And
Great article you did.
Thank you. I'll be okay. Y'all know y'all know I do not want to see Taker versus Sting. I don't want to see it. Okay, and I've made that very clear many times on this show. I do not want to see Taker versus Sting. I can see them do it. Don't do it at WrestleMania. Do it at Saudi. Do it at a Saudi show. And I'm sure they're going to throw the money at them. I get it. If they're going to do it, which it seems like they're putting the feelers in, and do it at Saudi. And have if Sting loses at Saudi, I don't want Sting to lose. Sting's WWE career was pure trash. And it made me so upset. Because first of all, the reason why Sting lost is because he was fodder to Triple H versus The Rock at the next year. That never happened. And it's like, do y'all understand? Do y'all understand that? Do y'all understand why that happened? Like this is legit. Do you understand why Sting lost to Triple H? Sting lost to Triple H. Because Triple H versus The Rock was scheduled for the next year's WrestleMania in Dallas. And that's the reason why Sting lost to Triple H. because we saw it.
We were mad.
At Santa Clara, San Jose, the Bay Area. We saw it on 31, where the same WrestleMania when Triple H beat Sting, he had the segment with Ronda Rousey and The Rock, which made me even more upset, by the way. And so that was supposed to set up Triple H versus The Rock at 32 in Dallas, and it never happened. Instead, The Rock came out with a daggone fire flamethrower and had a 6-second match against Eric Rowan.
Right.
That's how y'all gonna treat my boy Sting.
No, we was at the Airbnb. You know, things to go for both of us. Shout out to Brandon who said the same thing. I know I might just say because my age is 107. Look, we had to watch Hogan. We've seen one's matches. We just watched Taker and Goldberg. We've seen Bret against Vince. We've seen Michael Cole against Lawler. We've seen Foley against Flair. Yeah, we'll keep going. We've had to watch Hogan against Rudolph. Oh, yeah, we'll keep going. Conan versus One Man Gang. We've seen horrible matches. I'm with you. They done dug my man Sting out. His career in WWE is horrible. He's been nothing in WWE memorable, but when he did his debut. And I want to see the match because everyone has wanted to see it. He was talking about this back when I was in high school. You know, back then, I was high school, middle school. Sting is taking. But if it happens, cool. The match would be better than Goldberg. But like you said, Sting's not going to be Taker. Taker's going to win.
He's not. And the thing is, if Sting would have beaten Triple H, there was no reason for Triple H to beat Sting. Like it made no sense on many levels. It made no sense at all. Many facets, many levels, 0 sense. Because Sting came back a year and a half later to compete against Seth Rollins for the title. For Night of Champions. But he lost to Triple H at WrestleMania before. If he would have beaten Triple H, see, if it wasn't about Triple H Rock, which never happened, if Sting would have beaten Triple H, it would have been even better. It would have made Seth Rollins look even better if Rollins would have beaten Sting at the main event of Night of Champions. The next year, Sting lost to Triple H. And he came back the year for Night of Champions. If he would have beaten Triple H, it would have made it look even better if Sting would have put over Rollins. But Sting lost to Triple H, and Rollins beat Sting, so that didn't do anything. It didn't make anything better. If Sting would have... See, here's the thing. If Sting would have beaten Triple H, it would have been better for Seth Rollins. And if Sting would have beaten Triple H... I would be much more intrigued to see Sting versus Taker. If Sting would have beaten Triple H, I would be much more game to see Sting versus Taker. But since Sting lost at Mania and at Night of Champions, I have zero interest to see Sting Taker because Sting's going to lose again and is going to make his singles matches, pay-per-view matches 0-3 in his WWE run. Just terrible.
He'll be 0-3-1. Because he had the DQ win against... Didn't he beat Big Show in Raw? It wasn't like it became a tag match and he won.
Yeah, it became a tag match. I think him and Cena against...
against
Show and Seth, I think it was, or something like that.
And you know what's bad? Anytime my late mother, the reason why I got into wrestling in the 80s, and she was a casual fan, and I'll never forget, my mom was in the hospital bed here at my house. And my mom saw that match, and she was like, that's dumb. Since when did Hogan care about what Sting's done? Why is WWE even helping out Sting? That's just stupid. And I remember she said that. She woke up out of sleep and was like, why is Hogan out here helping out Sting?
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
Yeah.
And I'm like, clearly, anytime my mother noticed it, and she would watch wrestling here and there, and if she didn't watch it like she did back in the day, like Mike said, they never went to GX. They was afraid Sting couldn't carry it. Sting and Triple H match was good by itself. Triple H didn't need to win.
Yep.
Somebody else, and so I was like, why is Triple H entrance is so darn long? Then the entrances, what did the Terminator have to do? Like Sting had the Japanese, the ding ding, the bang, and to make it worse, we saw this all the time, Chris. We was in New York, going in that stadium for Mania. It was like it was the worst Mania that you had Sting, Bray Wyatt, and Undertaker. All the entrances was horrible.
Yeah, because it was light. it was light outside.
Right.
That was another thing that I was upset about. That it was light outside in California, and you had Sting's entrance, which was terrible. All right, we got to roll.
Sting came.
Who did Hulk Hogan compete against at WrestleMania 2? All right, let's give us your Raw and SmackDown grades. Raw and SmackDown grades. I think SmackDown was actually. I was actually cool with SmackDown this year. This week.
Yeah, SmackDown was better than Raw.
Yeah, it was better than Raw.
We got to see the puppet behind Ricochet again. I like how they keep adding the Bray's buddies in the cameos, and people don't mention them.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, this Seth Rollins. I don't like to hear him talk. If he's not wrestling, just shut him up. It's just I can't stand his voice. Oh, and left knee. I give it an A+ because left knee, Rey Mysterio, debuted to get smashed by Lashley.
By Lashley, yeah. King Kong Bundy. All right, we got like 8 minutes left. Let's do Silver Flavor of the Week. Let's do this.
It is now time for the Flavor of the Week.
All right, Raw said Raw was a C+. Grades on Raw and SmackDown as we get into these brackets. Let's do the play-ins for now. We got a few minutes left. I give Raw C+, SmackDown B-. Yeah, yep. C. I'll say a solid C. I'll say C and B-. Yeah, B-. Yeah. All right, real quick. Let's do predictions for Elimination Chamber for Extreme Rules because we only have a few minutes left. I'm gonna get to these brackets. All right. Rose Raw C-, SmackDown B-, Alonzo B+, and B-. All right, what you got for Revival and Usos?
Revival.
Yeah. Strowman and Lashley.
Oh no. They should give it to Lashley, but they're gonna have Strowman win.
I'll say Strowman. All right, Ricochet, Styles.
Ricochet might lose. They get the Styles, so they probably don't keep pushing.
Yeah, to probably keep it going. Black and Cesaro.
Oh well, Black's come back from the dead.
Yeah, Black.
Black, because he's been injured. He's coming back. You can't have Black return just to lose.
Daniel Bryan and Rowan versus the New Day versus Heavy Machinery.
Oh man, Daniel Bryan. Keep it on Bryan and Rowan.
They'll probably keep it on them. But I would like to see New Day and Kofi have it all the titles though.
Heavy Machinery.
Gulak and Nice.
Oh, they wrestling again? Gulak. Let's keep it on Gulak.
Bailey versus Bliss and Cross.
Say that again?
Bailey versus Bliss and Cross.
Oh, Bailey. Bliss has been sick. She's getting back.
Kofi and Samoa Joe.
Joe's a little engine that could. Kofi wins.
I'll say Kofi.
He can't be AJ Styles. He keep losing to Kofi.
Let's do Seth and Becky against Baron and Lacey.
I forgot. There's one more match. Seth. Gosh. Seth and Becky.
Yeah.
The man's men.
And then Taker and Reigns versus Shane and Drew.
You shouldn't have to ask that. You know, any match for Taker, he's going over. It's going to be a squash. Taker, Reigns going to take much of the heat, and Taker's going to save the day, and then happy days are here again, which makes no sense, because why is Undertaker helping out for him in the ring? It's like Steve Steven kicking out Sting. It makes no sense. But, hey, he got to protect home.
Just the way to bring him in, yeah. All right, real quick, guys. Just give me your thoughts. I'll just take the first few because we only have a few minutes left. Rey Mysterio versus Andre the Giant, greatest one-time WWE champion. Rey Mysterio versus Andre the Giant. What you got, guys? Only got a few minutes left to do these. First few I'll see. Rey Mysterio versus Andre the Giant. All right, Andre. I see Andre. All right, Kane versus Stan Stasiak. And this isn't who would win the match, it's who's the better one-time champion. Kane versus Stan Stasiak. What you got? Kane, Stains. What you got, guys? All right, I see Kane. All right, next is Ivan Koloff versus RVD. Ivan Koloff versus RVD.
Ivan.
What you guys got? Ivan Koloff, RVD. All right, I'm seeing Ivan. Ooh, split. All right, I'm seeing more RVD. All right. Ooh, it's split. Ooh. All right, next one. Who you got? Next one. What you guys got? All right. One, two, 3, 4. What y'all got? I see a split. The next one I see is
Alright,
Ivan again. Alright, Ivan wins. Alright, Buddy Rogers versus Jeff Hardy. Buddy Rogers versus Jeff Hardy.
With an ugly match. Jeff Hardy.
What y'all got? Buddy Rogers versus Jeff Hardy. Alright, let's see Jeff Hardy. Vince McMahon versus the Iron Sheik. Vince McMahon versus the Iron Sheik.
They're shaping in real life.
Vince McMahon versus the Iron Sheik. What you guys got? Vince or Iron Sheik? What you guys got? Iron Sheik, Iron Sheik. Alright. Iron Sheik. Alright. And last one for the play-in is Bray Wyatt versus Psycho Sid. Bray Wyatt versus Psycho Sid. Bray Wyatt versus Psycho Sid. What you guys got? Bray Wyatt and Psycho Sid. Alright, I see Sid. Sid, Bray, Sid. Okay, Sid. Sid gets the win. Alright, we got the play-ins. We got the official bracket for next week. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a fun and eventful episode. Big shout out to PCO. Thank you so much for everybody. It's been a fun show. Ladies and gentlemen, 380 episodes in the books. Thank you so much, PNP Nation, for staying up with us overtime for tonight. On behalf of EverTech Prout, I am Chris Featherstone for 380 episodes. Until next week, enjoy your week of wrestling. God bless, and always remember, I do it for you. Have a good night, everybody. God bless. Bye-bye.
Good night, guys.